I'm John Maeda. I am partner at Kleiner Perkins in Silicon Valley, a venture capital firm. I was a professor at the Media Lab for 12 pretty good years, and I'm pretty pleased to address all of you. First of all, let's see here. That might do something besides change the logo. Okay, awkward moment together. Thank you. Just to give you some background, I began my life at MIT with two Helvetica covers. The first was the Lisp Machine manual. Who knows Lisp Machine? Yeah, right? The Ferrari of programming. And also the Bauhaus book by Muriel Cooper, which was really the book, thank you, just as good as the Lisp Machine. Really amazing book. And these books kind of guided me always in my life. And I've been always curious about that. And luckily, I had the encounter with Muriel Cooper, who helped me see that there was this world emerging where computation and design could come together. And I was so surprised. And she was a little bit crazy, you know, like that. So I just loved watching her and thinking about, you know, what is it that she does? And I was at MIT for undergrad and grad, and I was in the PhD program at the Media Lab. And she's the one that said that I wouldn't learn what I want to learn at the Media Lab. I should go to art school instead. So I did that. And I went to art school and kind of acquired a different part of my brain. I had the opportunity to work with Iko Tanaka, the great graphic designer of Japan, designed for Issey Miyake and all these brands. And he taught me what design was really all about. And it had nothing to do with the computer. It was all about having the courage to express oneself and believe that that thing you've expressed could be something that made a difference. And what happened is along the way, I had the fortune of combining the two together. I came back to the computer, I bought a Next computer, began to write software for it, and before Flash and the web and stuff, I was making things like this. And my teachers in Japan would say to me, "This is very interesting, but how will you know if it is any good or not if you're the only one doing it?" And I thought about this, and they're Japanese, so they added, "You must make them so they will one day come and destroy you." So I focused on that, self-destruction. And in 1996, I had the fortune of joining the Media Lab as a professor, and I invited Paul Rand to come and speak. And he said that I waited 82 years to come here. I knew Georgie Kepish and Muriel Cooper. I'm here, and I did an interview with him on stage. And so I asked him, "What is design?" And he says, "Design is a method of putting form and content together. Design, just as art, has multiple definitions. There is no single definition. Design can be art. Design can be aesthetics. Design is so simple. That's why it is so complicated." My favorite answer, though, was when I asked him, "What is the difference between good design and bad design?" He said, "A bad design is irrelevant. It is superficial, pretentious, basically like all this stuff you see out there today." That was a moment. He was here at MIT. He was going to be a professor here emeritus, and he died a month after he spoke. And it changed my life. And it was when I was beginning my career here at MIT as a professor. And I had just brought aboard a bunch of hybrids, I guess what you would call them, people who were neither computer scientists or designers or artists. They were both. And I had the fortune of having two research groups here, the ACG and the PLW. And we made all kind of crazy stuff back when no one made this stuff. And it was a great time. And after this, during this moment, I was on the beach and discovered a relationship that changed my life. I discovered that the words simplicity and complexity had the letters MIT in perfect sequence. Like an M. Night Shyamalan movie, like, whoa, weird, you know? And I thought, well, I gotta do something. So I began focusing on simplicity. So as my students were taking on complexity, I went in the opposite direction to try to find what simplicity is in the digital age, in an age where business is desperate to understand technology. And it was 2008, I read this book called The Audacity of Hope that Becky Vermont gave to me. It was an era where I wanted to believe that being American could be more than being a tenured professor at MIT. And so I took a leap, and I became president of a school, RISD. And people asked me, well, you had that moment on the beach, the M. Night Shyamalan moment. What happened? And I said, well, I had another moment. I thought of this French phrase, raison d'etre, which has R-I-S-E in it as well. And that freed me to try a new thing. And it was important. It was very important because I remember my first week as president, people would ask me what my vision is. And if you've read any first 100 days book, you're not supposed to have a vision. But as a new person, people keep asking you, what's your vision? And I kept saying, well, the book says I can't say what my vision is. But that didn't work. So I was going to address the pre-freshman, the pre-college program, a bunch of high school students from all over the world for the first time, and I tested them on my ideas for a vision. I had them applaud for the one they might like the most. A lot of them tested very poorly, but the one that tested well was this one. It was building a justifiable case for creativity in the world. It was an amazing moment. All these young people with the crazy hair and strange T-shirts were like, yeah, that's the one, you know? But I had no idea why that was the one. And afterwards, I was shopping in the alumni shop, and a young woman came up to me and said, I'm so glad you said what you said up there. She said, because I'm a sophomore in South Dakota in high school. I'm the creative one. I'm the one that no one takes seriously. And you said in there, you're going to fight for us. And that meant something to me. And I realized that my passion for curiosity and education has been about knowing what's out there, being able to feel who is out there. And so at RISD, I began to study everything. This is called the Nature Lab. It's an amazing facility of taxidermized specimens. At RISD, you can't take a picture of a chicken and draw it. You have to check out the chicken. Take it back to your dorm room. And it's there that I began to add this other book to my library, Leadership. It was a new thing for me. I had to understand it. It wasn't in sans serif. It was only serif. And that serif feeling led to the wonderful fortune of leading in the country the STEM to STEAM movement to enable our government to put art in the middle of STEM education, and that was a proud thing. Now, I left RISD and I joined the venture capital industry. People ask me, how did that happen? I tell them, I'm not sure. All I know is it's been amazing to learn so many things. And one of the things I'm doing is continuing to build the justifiable case for creativity. For instance, this slide in my deck, it's called designin.tech, shows how if you look at the VCs and what companies they're funding, you think that Airbnb, the poster child for designer co-founded ventures, is the only one out there. Out of the top 25 backed VC-funded startups, there are 5 that were co-founded by designers. That's a pretty good number. I'll be looking at this quite carefully, and I'll be talking about it more in the future with the next report. So I have some takeaways. First takeaway. I remember when I came here, and it was mentioned by the vice president that the Media Lab would have sponsors, corporate sponsors. At the time, that was looked down upon, because the good money came from the government, apparently. And the companies, they don't know anything. I'll never forget how Nicholas Negroponte told me in my first year as a professor, don't forget, John, they know more than us in many ways. And so when I think of Joe over there, and I think of Jim Young and people I met as sponsors, as people from the corporations, I learned so much from them, and I grew so much from them, so thank you. Second thing was visionaries always pop through the Media Lab. I'm not sure if you met Paola Antonelli, but she is a true goddess of knowledge. And the Media Lab would always attract different people as a permeable membrane. It's a very special place to get to meet people who are dreaming such big dreams. And there are professors, amazing professors here. Hiroshi Ishii, who I think is one of the great MIT professors of our time. Someone who you will ask, you will say, Hiroshi, that's a really nice project, really nice project. He'll be the first person to say, well, I didn't do it. My students did it. So amazing people like Hiroshi. And incredible staff. Heather Pierce. Used to be Heather Childress. There are amazing people in the Media Lab who keep it running. And Heather always inspired me because she hadn't finished her degree when I met her, and she was insistent on doing it part-time. And her desire for education inspired me to believe that this enterprise is a great thing. And of course, the students. Amazing students come from all over the world. I'll never forget Ben Fry and Casey Rees. You see, Ben Fry and Casey Rees invented this thing called processing. See, at the time, I had built a system called Design by Numbers. It was a kind of primitive system that Casey and Ben thought could always be better. And I thought, well, that's a good idea, but you have to focus on your thesis. And they were like, well, I think this could be really good. And I said, well, okay, go do that. Good. I don't know, maybe finish your thesis, And well, it's open source, it's good. Really? Are you sure? But it's there where I realized the professor can be terribly wrong. They went on to make a foundation. It's used in so many institutions. So if you're a student, don't forget, don't listen to your professor. And lastly, I want to close on Bill Mitchell. He was an inspiration to all of us. I remember I came to his service here on campus. He had a saying, blast away, get it done, like James T. Kirk. So I believe we all have to blast away and get it done. Let's get it done. Thank you.